All right, class, let's start our first lesson from Chapter 2. Today we'll be in Section 2.1. Title of the section is Exponents and Order of Operations. It can be found on page 68. All right, let's get started. First, we need to take a look at what exponents are. Hopefully you do remember order of operations. If you do remember, you'll remember that we skipped the exponents part of the order of operations in Chapter 1 because we were not dealing with exponents at that time. Now we are going to deal with exponents. So let's get started. Reminder about what an exponent is. An exponent is this number up here, this 3. It's known as a superscript. Like a subscript is written below, a superscript is written above. So here we have the exponent 3. And when you have an exponent, it just tells us that we're going to end up multiplying 4 times itself. And we're going to have 3 4s. So you could write it like this: 4 times 4 times 4. Notice I have 4s right here, and I have 3 of them. Notice that I'm only going to multiply twice, though. Please do not try to do this in your head, because often students make mistakes because they end up multiplying 1 too many times. It's helpful to write it out, especially when you're first going over it. So here we have 4 times 4, which would make, so 4 times 4 is 16. Well, 4 times 16, that would equal 64. Okay? So 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times the 16 is 64. That's how we get that number right there. All right? Let's look at some problems that we might be asked to do in this section. One thing we might be asked to do is to write using exponents. They'll give us a list of numbers that are written like this. And so long as the numbers are the same and everything separating the numbers is a multiplication symbol, you can combine them and write them as an exponent. Meaning if I have 5 times 5 times 5 times 5, I can write that as 5 to the 4th power. Okay? Over here I have negative 3 times negative 3. Well, I'm going to put it in parentheses. And it is important that you put it in parentheses, because if you do not put the negative 3 in parentheses, it will not be the right answer, because negative 3 squared is different from negative 3 squared. These two are not equal to each other, okay? This right here is the correct answer for this. This, don't write it like this, wrong. We'll go over more in just a little bit about what makes that wrong, okay? But you just need to know that these two are not equal to each other. Okay, so moving along, I would like for y'all to try to do these examples. Try to solve these exponent problems. Pause the video right now and try it. All right, hopefully you've unpaused the video by this point and you're ready to see the answers. So 3 squared would be 9. 2 to the 5th power, well, that would be 2 times 2, which is, so 2 times 2 is 4. So after using 2 2's, we'd have 4. We'd get 8. We'd get 16. You get 32, okay? So 2 times 2 is 4, times another 2 is 8, times another 2 is 16, times another 2, you get the point. 32. Over here, if you were to multiply this out, you would end up with 1.44, okay? All right, moving on to the next problems. Here, we're getting into the order of operations part. Order of operations says we must do parentheses, then exponents, then multiplication or division. You could put and if you want. I'm putting or this time. You do one of these first, depends on which one is written first. And then you do addition or subtraction. It depends on which one is written first, okay? So here we have 3 to the second power, or you could say 3 squared. It's the same thing. 3 to the second power and 3 squared are the same thing. Plus, parenthesis 4 minus 7, close parenthesis, to the third power. Do the parentheses first. 3 squared plus parenthesis, I would end up with negative 3, close parenthesis, to the third power, all right? Well, 3 to the second power is 9. Now, negative 3 to the third power. You might have to go to the side and write it out to help you understand this, but that's saying I have negative 3 times, if you want to put it all in parentheses, that would be helpful, times negative 3 times negative 3. Okay, that is this right here. It says I have 3 negative 3's being multiplied. Negative 3 times negative 3, well, that's 9. We know it's positive because a negative times a negative is a positive. And so I just bring down my last negative 3. 9 times negative 3, well, 3 times 9 is 27. Positive times a negative is a negative. So that's what I have right there. Now, this isn't our answer. We still got to go back over here. We were just doing our scratch work to the side. Plus negative 27. We plug that back in. I have positive 9 plus negative 27. That would get me negative 18. Okay? Hopefully you remember how to add and subtract negative numbers. Let's get on to the last examples. All right, here I have 4 examples. I would also like you to try, see if you guys can work these out. Pause the video, just try them. Please do this in pencil so you can erase if you made any mistakes. All right, let's get back. So this one says I have negative 4 times 2. Well, that's the same as saying negative 4 times negative 4. So 4 times 4 is 16. Negative times a negative is a positive, okay? So that is our answer. Over here, notice that these two look similar, but one has parentheses, one doesn't. What this is saying is I have negative 4 squared, negative 4 squared, negative 4 squared. What this one over here is actually saying is I have 4 squared, and the whole thing is negative. So I have 4 squared, whole thing is negative. So this negative symbol just comes out front, okay? And you end up putting a parenthesis like this, and you're going to say 4 times 4, okay? Because it's basically as if I'm saying I'm doing the exponent first because there's no parentheses. So I do the exponent, then I make it negative. So I end up with negative 16. So it is important to know when to pay attention to the parentheses. If you don't understand this, you will more in class. We'll go over it more, don't worry. Last problem. Hopefully you tried this one and got it right. 4 plus 2, 6 squared minus 3. Well, 6 squared would be 36 minus 3. The answer we get is 33. Remember, watch the video again. If you had some trouble understanding it, if you still have trouble understanding it, put a question mark by the ones that you don't understand and be prepared to ask questions in class. All right, see you then.